I'm Mo of Ezeebeady. Today I'm going to show you how to make this bracelet. It's another blue one. I think you know by now, blue is my favourite colour. I've called it a rounded triangle. I've used the triangle beads, it's the first time I've used them, and I've used the O beads. I have made a couple of things with the O beads, so it's not the first time I've used them, but it's the first time I've made my own design with them, so I'm quite pleased with it. You could make earrings out of the components, each separate component if you wish, and if you wish you could also make a necklace. Just let your mind run riot with it. Oh, another thing, if you haven't got the triangle beads, super duos work perfectly well. You just don't get the spiked effect, but it also will be reversible. So if you haven't got triangle beads, by all means use your super duos. There's no harm in it. It just makes it a little bit different, I suppose. So let's get going. Right, for this bracelet I'm using these triangle beads. For each bracelet I'm doing 10 components long, so you'll need 40 of these beads if you need it the same length as mine. There's 4 in each component, so you just have to devise what you need. I'm using 4mm Swarovskis. These are sapphire. You can use rounds, they work just as well. I'm using O beads. These are gunmetal. I'm also using 11/0 seed beads. These are Duracoat Gold by Mayuki. The thread I'm using today is Fireline Smoke. It's 0.008 inches. It's nice and thin. The 6 will work just as well because it isn't a tight project. A beading needle, size 10 or 12. Again, it isn't a tight project, so the larger one would do absolutely fine. And a clasp. I'm using just a lobster claw clasp in gold. I won't be using any jump rings because I'm going to make my own loop at the end. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. And a pair of scissors to cut your thread. Right, to begin with, I am using 2 arm spans of thread. You don't need much thread for each component, but I found I was wasting a lot of thread cutting enough for each component. The end that was left, basically you could make up and use another couple of components, so I thought it would be best to just thread a long piece onto my needle, and when I cut my thread off, A, I don't have to re-thread my needle, which is a godsend, and B, it doesn't waste thread. When you're using your triangle beads, for each section I suggest you lay them out all in the same way, because we do need to make sure that we're picking them up in the same hole. So if you just lay your 4 beads out for each section, and then you know which hole you're picking it up from. I'll be using my right hole. So thread your needle and then get ready with your triangle beads. Pick up an O bead, a 4mm, sorry, I do apologise. Pick up an O bead, an 11 seed bead, an O bead, and your triangle. Now, like I said, make sure you go from the same hole each time. Pick up an O bead, an 11, an O bead, and a triangle. Pick up an O bead, an 11, an O bead, and your triangle. An O bead, an 11, an O, and your triangle. And this is what you have. We've got 4 sets of each, and we're going to move these down to the end of the thread. Leave a tail long enough to be able to tie a knot in. I'm going to go through these again. So just thread your needle through all your beads again, and pull your thread to make a loop. and then tie a knot. I've put 3 good knots in there and pulled them tight. We do need it fairly tight. It's not essential, but as tight as you can manage it. Now you need to move your tail away from your knot. So put another needle on your tail. Now some people find threading needles really easy, and I know Gianna, you are one of them. I've seen you do it, and it's my pet hate. Right, so I'm in between my triangle and my O bead, and I'm going to take my tail through the O bead first, so I know which way I'm going as to which direction I need to put my other lot of thread. So I'm just going to go through 2 sets, and then I'm going to leave my tail for a minute. I'll cut it off in a second. Okay, so I went through my O bead first, so now I know I need to go in the direction of my triangle. So I'm going to move this thread now away from my knot, and now I can cut my tail off. Right, you need to be coming out of one of your triangles, it doesn't matter which one. So I'm coming out the triangle here, and I'm going to go into the hole, next hole available on that same triangle. So basically it's kind of stepping up. So I'm not coming out of this way, but I'm going in the other direction now. So we pick up an O bead, a seed bead, an 11/0 seed bead, your 4mm, a seed bead, and an O bead. So this is what I've picked up, and I'm coming out of this hole, so I'm going into the next triangle of the next hole available. And again I'm going to pick up the same sequence, so we need an O, an 11/0, your 4mm, an 11 and an O. And again I'm going to skip and go across into the next hole available on the next triangle. And this is what I have so far. Again the same sequence, so an O, an 11, a 4mm, an 11 and an O, and go through the next hole of the next triangle. Pick up an O, an 11, your 4mm, your 11 and your O bead. And now I'm going to go through the next hole, which is the same hole I was coming out of originally, and I'm going to go round in through these beads here, and then I'm going to come out of this 11 before the 4mm. Make sure you don't miss any of your beads. So I'm coming out now of the 11 just before the 4mm. And this is what we have so far. Okay, right, I'm just going to go around this one more time just to strengthen my work and to tighten it up a bit. So just making sure you go through all your beads and don't miss any out. Give it a gentle pull each time. Don't go around too many times, because I'm going to suggest a way for you to strengthen your whole work, and just basically it'll strengthen the connections when we get to it. You'll see what I mean when I get there. Okay, right, So I'm coming out of an 11 just before a bicone, and I'm going to put a knot in there because it's just easier for, I think it's better to put the knot before the bicone because it goes in there easier. So I'll just do my usual knot. You can do your half hitch knot, it's up to you, and it is a bit loose. I won't worry too much about it because, like I said, the way we're going to strengthen it, it's going to tighten it all up for you. So I've just put a knot in there and I've gone through the next set, and I'm coming out again of the 11 right before my bicone, and I'm going to put another knot in there. And one more knot should do. So again, I've gone through the next set, and I will, if I didn't pull my needle out. And I'm coming out again of the 11 right before the bicone. And one more knot. Keep getting tangled up. And I'm just going to move my thread away from the knot by going through another set, and when I'm happy I will cut my thread off. So there we have it, that's your first component. Now I'm going to build this up like I did on my forget-me-not bracelet. I'll show you how I intend to do that. So we need to do this middle section again. So get your 4 triangles laid out. And pick up an O, an 11, an O, and a triangle, an O, an 11, an O, and a triangle, an O, an 11, an O, and a triangle, an O, an 11, an O, and a triangle. And again, this is what you have. So like we did the last time, move these down. I'm going to go around these again, leaving enough tail to tie your knot. Put your knot in there. I always put 3. Just seems to make sure it's secure. And again, thread your needle onto your tail and move your tail away from your knot. I'm going through the O bead again. Just making sure you don't miss any of your beads. Take your needle off, don't cut your tail just yet, because we need to move your main thread away from the knot as well. So I know I need to go through the triangle next because I took my tail through the O bead. So I'm going this way around now. Depending on how that you've managed to make your loop, as to how easy or difficult it is for you to get through these. Right, so again we need to be coming out of a triangle. So I'm coming out of the triangle here. And then we need to step up through your next hole of the same triangle you're coming out of. So we pick up an O bead, an 11, your 4mm, an 11 and an O bead. So this is what we've picked up. Sorry, I do apologise, I haven't cut my tail off. Let's get rid of that, and it's out of our way. So this is what we've picked up, and I'm going to skip and go through the next triangle. Pick up an O bead, an 11, your 4mm, an 11 and an O bead. Skip your gap and go through the next hole of the next triangle. And again the same sequence, an O, an 11, your 4mm, an 11 and an O. Skip your gap and go through the next triangle. And this is what we have. We've gone round 3, so now we need to connect to the other components. Like I said, this is the same method I used in the forget-me-not bracelet. So make sure they're both the right way up. I've got the points of the triangle facing up on both of the sections. Pick up an O bead and an 11, and we're going to use this bicone or your 4mm of the component you are connecting to. Now I'm coming around this direction here, so I need to go in the same direction through the bicone, just the bicone, nothing else, because we've already got the 11 and the O there, so all we need is that bicone of the connecting component. Pull that down, and now we need to pick up an 11 and an O, and now we're going to head back around this circle here, and we'll need to go around once more and tie off. So I'm coming out with the bicone of the component I'm connecting to, and I've picked up my 11 and my O bead, and I'm going to go into the triangle of the component we've just made. Give that a gentle pull. It is going to be loose, and you probably have to pick it. Well, I'm going to have to pick it up now to be able to tighten it. You'll obviously be able to do what you wish. And I'm going to go right round these beads again, just on this component here, and then I'm going to tie a couple of knots. I do find Fireline rather slippery. It's hard to get a good tension on these small components. So maybe, you know, if you want, you can try KO thread. It does work. I've tried it, so it's fine. Right, so I'm coming out now, just before the bicone, or your 4mm, and I'm going to pop a knot in there. And then go around to the next bicone, just before the bicone, pop another knot in. Okay, move your thread away from your knot and then cut your tail off, cut your thread off, I do apologise. So there we have two components. Keep going using this same method of attaching your components until you get to the length you require. I know I need 10, so come back to me when you're ready, and I'll show you how to, like I said, add the clasp and strengthen the whole bracelet up. Okay, see you in a bit. So I've got my 10 components made up, and you can see it's a bit flimsy, and not all of them are rather tight, you know, it's because it can get a bit hard to tighten them up properly. So I'm going to show you how I intend to tighten this up. Take a good arm span of thread. You may need less, I'll let you know at the end of the tutorial. And put a needle on each end of your thread. Get your clasp and put your clasp on your thread and let that drop. Pick up 3 11s onto each needle and let them drop. So I've got 3 11s on each needle and I'm letting them drop down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my needle that's on this side, I'm going to pick up my bracelet, and the bicone that is at the very end, I'm not going to go through that just yet. I'm going to go into the seed bead that is next to it, and I'm going to go that way around. Okay. I'm going to go all the way around to the connecting bicone. So through the bicone, and then I'm going to put that needle in my mat and pick up the other needle and do the same with the other side. So I'm going to skip this bicone here and go into the seed bead and around to the connecting bicone. So basically I'm just going to cross over my two needles on the thread in the bicone that's connecting the component to the rest of the bracelet. Right. So now my threads are coming out of each side. If I've done it correctly. Yeah. See, if I pull that, they're there. One thing I did forget to mention to you is make sure you pick up your clasp the correct way around. And give them a pull, and that tightens up. Just square up your thread again. We need it in the centre. Doesn't have to be dead centre, but just give it a gentle pull. Put your needles together and pull your thread. Now if you've got one slightly longer, don't worry too much, because I'm just going to, with the longer thread, I'm going to go around this again and then through the clasp. I'm going to go around a couple of times to strengthen up my clasp. Okay, so this is my longer thread at this side, so I'm going to go around this component again. And this is just to strengthen up the clasp at this point. This is one of the reasons why we don't want to go around the components too many times. So now I'm coming out of the seed bead that is right next to the O bead, and instead of going through the bicone, I'm going to go around my clasp. And then back down the other side and into the seed bead that is right next to the other O bead, and straight through again, straight round. Okay, so I've just crossed over my bicone again. I'm going to leave it at that because some of these beads I felt were a bit tight, and I think it's the knots that I put in. But if you would like to go around again, by all means please do. So my needles are now even and my thread is even. So give that a gentle pull and that'll just tighten everything up there for you. So what I'm going to do now is pick up the thread that's on this side, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to zigzag. I'm going to go around this one, cross over into this bicone, and then I'll go this way around, crossing over into that bicone, and around this one, crossing over into the bicone. Basically I'm just going to S shape all the way to the end until I come out of the bicone that is at the very end here. So I'm just coming to the connecting bicone now, and instead of going completely round, I'm going to go around the far side of the connecting component. You'll probably need to turn your work around several times to work in the direction that's best for you. So again, I'm into the connecting bicone, and I'm going to make my way up the next component. Just be patient with it and mind you don't snag your thread on any of your beads. And again, I'm at the connecting component, so I'm going to just go straight up into the next component following the path of the beads. And again to the connecting component and following round the next component. If you want to stop halfway and do the other side, that's fine. In fact, that's what I'll do to show you. So I'm now up here, coming out of this bead, this bicone here. I've zigzagged my way up, so I'm going to make a start with the other thread. So I'm coming out of this side here now. I'm coming out of this side, so I'm going to go around this component and the connecting component. I'm going to go around into the next one. And the connecting components, technically I'm crossing over the other thread that I've just gone through. Again, cross it through the connecting component. So I'm up to the next one. And this is where I stopped for my first one. So this is where I will stop for this one. And we'll just tighten the thread up. So cross in the connecting component. So my thread is now coming out of each side. It may be best doing 2 or 3 at a time. So I'm just going to take my threads in my hand, hold them tightly and just pull. And that is just going to strengthen up all this work. You can feel it's ever so slightly stiffer, but they're more solid than what were. And also, you know, your connections are that bit tighter. So now work out which side your thread's coming out of and just finish all the way up to the top. And we need to come out at the top of this bicone at the end. And then I'm coming out of this end one now. So I'm going to leave that there and pick up my other thread and do the same with the other thread. Just snake your way up there. Right, so now I'm coming out with both needles at the end of my bracelet, sorry, both threads, one at each side of the bicone. And again, I'm just going to hold my thread, give that a pull, just work it down. Now if you're using KO thread, don't, mind you, it is quite strong, but yeah, don't pull over hard. We don't want to snap it at this stage. So that's all all tightened up now. You'll find that these are all tight. If you had any problems with the looseness, they've all been cured. And like I say, your connections, they're a bit stronger now as well. So that's all good. So now we need to just put the loop at the other end for your clasp. I'm going to pick up 2 11/0 on each thread. And then on the second, one of the other needles, don't matter which one, pick up a third, and we're going to cross over, pull that down, and we've got kind of a picot. So now we're just going to make my loop. So I'm going to pick up 8 11/0, doesn't matter which thread. So I've got 8 11/0 there now. I'm going to pull them down, and I'm going to go around this bead here at the end that I've crossed into, and I'm going to go back into it and make a loop. So I've got a nice loop there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back down these 2 beads here, through my bicone, and then I'm going to do the same with this other thread. I'm going to go around these, the loop, through the middle one, through the 2 here, and back down the bicone. So it's down the 2 and through the bicone. Give both threads a gentle pull, and just for strength purposes I'm going to go around this one more time with just one of my threads. Don't matter which one, either one you're happy with. Back down the 2 and then back into the bicone. And I've actually gone through the seed bead and the O of the next bicone, of the component I'm attached to, but that's absolutely fine because I'm just going to tie off now. So again, it's best to put your knots before your bicones. So just work your way down to the next bicone and put a knot in there. Put as many knots in there as your thread will allow. I'd suggest you work your way back down, zigzagging, putting knots as you go. The more knots the better. Probably best not to put a knot before the connecting bicone, because you've got quite a lot of thread going in there. Coming out just before the bicone, I'm going to put another knot in there. Now it seems like a good arm span of thread was quite enough for that. It depends how long you've made your bracelet. When I say good arm span of thread, I've gone from my far shoulder, stretched my arm out, so I've got my arm and my shoulder width of thread. So I'm going to just pull that needle out there and do the same with the other needle. So I'm coming out there and I'm going to go around and start knotting. Again, being careful not to snag anything as you go. Right, so we're nearly there. Just the last bit. Again, it's best not to put your knot in there because you've got a lot of thread going in there. And work your thread away from your knot before you cut it off. So now that's going to hold the thread. So there we go. Take your needles off, cut your threads. And there you have your bracelet. Again, you can tell blue is my favourite colour. So that's 10 components. I have small wrists, so it fits me nicely. But this, like I said, this is the beauty of making it as you go. You can make it as long as you need. Right, so I am Monisa of Ezeebeady. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. You can find me on Facebook, just search for Ezeebeady. It would be great to see some of your results from the tutorials I've shown you. Thank you for watching, see you next time. Bye.